In the spring of 1829, a farmer tending his land near the Delaware-Maryland border stumbled upon a grim secret that would unravel one of America's most horrifying criminal operations. His plow horse abruptly sank into the ground, exposing a buried wooden chest. Inside were the skeletal remains of a man, his bones aged and yellowed, the skull bearing unmistakable signs of violence. This was only the first of many horrors. In the weeks that followed, authorities unearthed at least 7 more bodies on the property, including 3 children. All were victims of a woman whose name had become synonymous with terror across the Delmarva Peninsula, Martha Patty Cannon. For nearly 20 years, Cannon had overseen what historians now call the Reverse Underground Railroad, a network that abducted free African Americans and fugitive slaves, selling them back into bondage in the Deep South. But her crimes went beyond trafficking. Cannon was also a murderer, eliminating rival slavers, witnesses, and even children who threatened her enterprise. Court documents from Sussex County, Delaware, reveal she was formally charged with 4 killings, though witnesses insisted the true toll exceeded 20. Before delving deeper into Cannon's reign of terror along the Mason-Dixon line, I'd like to know, where are you listening from? Her operations stretched far beyond Delaware, reaching from Philadelphia to the Mississippi Delta. Share your location in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications. These dark chapters of history must not be forgotten. The unearthing of those remains exposed a criminal empire that had thrived for over a decade, shielded by jurisdictional chaos, racial prejudice, and the grim reality that most victims were people whose disappearances drew little attention from white society. The region where Cannon built her empire was uniquely suited for crime. In the early 1800s, the area known as Reliance sat at the crossroads of 3 jurisdictions, Sussex County in Delaware, and Caroline and Dorchester counties in Maryland. This allowed criminals to evade pursuit by simply crossing county or state lines. The spot was so remote it earned the name Johnson's Crossroads, after the tavern that served as the hub of America's most notorious kidnapping ring. The terrain itself aided concealment. Thick forests of pine and oak stretched for miles, interrupted only by marshes and scattered farms. The Nanticoke River wound through the land, offering hidden routes to transport captives under cover of darkness. Roads were mere dirt paths, and the nearest towns were days away by horse. For outlaws, it was the perfect base. Martha Patty Cannon arrived in this lawless borderland around 1790. Records suggest she was born circa 1760, possibly as Lucretia Patricia Hanley, though she obscured her origins. Some claim she was born in Canada and moved to Delaware at 16. What's certain is her marriage to Jesse Cannon, a local farmer whose land straddled the state line. They had at least 1 daughter and appeared to live an ordinary rural life. Jesse was described as a quiet man, tending his crops like any other settler. Their modest two-story home, built in the typical style of the era, concealed a sinister secret, hidden rooms designed to imprison abducted people. Beneath this facade of normalcy festered something far darker. The early 1800s saw a surge in demand for enslaved labor after Congress banned the import of slaves from Africa in 1808. Prices skyrocketed, with a healthy adult slave fetching over $1,000 in the Deep South, a fortune that lured criminals into trafficking. The cotton boom, fueled by the cotton gin, created an insatiable hunger for workers. With the African slave trade outlawed, the only supply came from domestic sources, including the kidnapping of free black communities. The Delmarva Peninsula was especially vulnerable. After the Revolutionary War, many enslaved people had been freed, either through gradual emancipation laws or individual acts of manumission. Yet these free black communities lived in constant fear. They lacked legal protections, and their disappearances often went uninvestigated. Free African Americans were required to carry papers proving their status, and without them, they could be seized and sold with little recourse. Into this landscape stepped Patty Cannon, a woman who proved evil knew no gender. Described as towering nearly 6 feet tall, unusual for the time, she commanded fear with her imposing presence and violent temper. Her husband Jesse died mysteriously around 1826, with rumors suggesting she poisoned him. Now a widow, she seized full control of their property and deepened her ties to the criminal underworld. Local law enforcement was sparse and often corrupt, while the transient white population turned a blind eye. Isolation and indifference allowed Cannon's operation to flourish. Her transformation from farmer's wife to criminal mastermind began with her daughter's marriages. Both sons-in-law were slave kidnappers. The first, Henry Brereton, was a blacksmith who captured free African Americans for sale. Arrested in 1811, he escaped jail, but was later hanged for murdering a rival slaver in a robbery gone wrong. Cannon avoided prosecution, but the incident marked a turning point. She now saw murder as a viable tool. Her daughter's second husband, Joseph Johnson, became her most valuable partner. A businessman with Southern connections, he brought logistical expertise and a tavern strategically placed on the state line. Different rooms sat in different states, allowing criminals to dodge law enforcement by stepping across jurisdictions. The tavern's basement held hidden cells where captives were shackled before transport. The gang was diverse, including white criminals, mixed-race decoys, and even enslaved accomplices. One, John Purnell, could pass as white or black, making him ideal for luring victims. By the 1820s, their network spanned from Pennsylvania to Louisiana. Philadelphia's mayor, Joseph Watson, documented dozens of kidnappings tied to the gang in 1825 alone. Victims were targeted for their vulnerability. Young adults fetched high prices, but children were also valuable for their long labor potential. One survivor, Lydia Smith, testified to being held in chains for months in Cannon's hidden cells. Captives were stripped of identifying papers, beaten into submission, and given new identities to justify their sale. The gang's brutality extended to murdering rivals and witnesses. When a Georgia slaver carrying $35,000 vanished after visiting Cannon's tavern, his horse was found in her possession. Such killings of white victims eventually drew scrutiny that crimes against African Americans had not. Pressure mounted in the late 1820s as Watson offered rewards for information. The gang responded with more violence, but their downfall began when a plow horse stumbled upon a buried chest in 1829, revealing the Georgia slavers' remains. Authorities excavated the property, uncovering more bodies, including children Cannon had killed to eliminate problems. The key witness was Cyrus James, an enslaved boy forced into the gang. His testimony led to Cannon's indictment for 4 murders, though she confessed to over 20. While awaiting trial, she poisoned herself in jail, cheating the gallows. Her son-in-law Johnson fled south, escaping justice. The investigation revealed the gang had trafficked hundreds, possibly thousands, of free black individuals. Cannon's skull was later displayed as a macabre relic, a symbol of her infamy. Her story exposes the horrors of the reverse Underground Railroad and the systemic failures that allowed such crimes to persist. It's a chilling reminder of how easily society ignores violence against the marginalized until it touches those in power. What do you think? Was the full scope of her network ever uncovered? Share your thoughts below, and if you want more dark history, subscribe and hit the notification bell.